So when I was 7 years old, I was hit by a car, actually here in Toronto, and I was in a coma for a few days, and when I woke up, I had several injuries and multiple complications, and one of them was a head injury. As I got better and my injuries started to decrease and heal, my eyesight was not one of them that I regained, and through further investigation, doctors found out that I had a form of juvenile macular degeneration. They determined that I was born with this disease, and without the car accident, it wouldn't have been detected probably till much later in life. Well, probably by the age of 13. About 2 years after discovering that I had, it's called Stargardt's disease, the juvenile form of macular degeneration. 2 siblings of mine were also diagnosed. So growing up, I really wasn't aware as a child what was going on, and neither were other children, except as human beings, our first reaction is to sort of segregate ourselves from people that we don't understand. And I guess through natural selection, children just sort of avoided me in general. And a part of that was that I wasn't able to sort of run with the pack. When kids were making nonverbal communication with me, like looking at me or smiling, I wasn't doing those things back. So growing up, not only was I not doing those things, but the encoding process for me that process never happened. So I never learned to smile back at someone. I didn't know that eyes suggest things and that there was something called body language. So, as a teenager, things like dating didn't happen for me. I moved out on my own when I was probably 19 years old, and it was very isolating because I didn't know how to approach people. I didn't know sort of the cues to know that someone was trying to make friends with me. I did manage to get married though, so that was okay. In all fairness, he also is socially up, but that's just his upbringing, I think. So fast forwarding to the age of 32, I decided that within the age of 19 and 32 that I was going to get married, become an artist, because that was sort of, I used to tell myself that, I always wanted to be an artist. And looking within the last 2 years since I've had the eyewear, looking back at that, I've come to realize that was just sort of my default. I was able to try the eyewear 2 years ago, and I had just given birth to my son a little prematurely, so he came out with a few complications, and we had just brought him home, and my husband was holding him, and the engineer from eSight had come to my home to have me try them on, and the first thing I saw was his face, and I hadn't seen his face since he was born. So I knew right away they worked. And then I could see my husband and my 5-year-old son as well, and I was given something to read, which I had not read since, I think it was like 18 years at the time, and I was a Braille user. So the fact that I could see a letter T, I knew that these worked. So I had to have a pair. So I have a pair. And over the last 2 years, I went from a stay-at-home, I will say unemployed, because that's what most artists are, artist, to I'm working with the Ontario Arts Council now as a consultant. I can read. I am able to take part in with my son, my older son, who is now 8, has autism, and I'm able to help him, if you're not familiar with the condition, decipher what a smile means. And when someone says something sarcastic, make sure you smile afterwards, because you might offend somebody. So I'm able to help him make sense of his surroundings. And my younger son, Thomas, who is 2, Noah will remember that I could not see. It was something I had to explain to him, but my younger son, Thomas, will never know. He will never know what it's like for me to not be able to read and not be able to do what every other mother does with their children. Thank you.